Hello, hello. We are officially live. Welcome, everybody, to this week's Digital Dialogue Series. My name is Tawana Bain, and I am the founder of the Derby Diversity Business Summit. We have gone virtual with everything that is going on with COVID and civil unrest. I am excited today for humor and human rights. We have some comedians here. They're going to talk about how they are navigating some of the touchy, sensitive topics that are going on. But before we dive in, I'd like for them all to introduce themselves, all right? And if you could all share your pronouns as you introduce yourself. I go by she, her, and hers. And I'd like for you to introduce yourself in the following order. If we can go with Reed, then Dylan, Janelle, Kendra, Rob, and then Dell.
Hi, my name is Reed, they, them. I'm a comic out of Louisville. I have worked with Derby Diversity Business Summit as a writer since it started. It's been awesome to see it grow and be part of that. I'm also the token white today, so thank you for inviting me. I work also in racial justice with a group here in Louisville called Stand Up Sunday, which is the coalition arm of Black Lives Matter of Louisville.
Nice.
Well, all right. I'm Dylan Stevenson, pronouns he, him. I am a comedian and writer based out of New York City. Was doing stand-up for about a decade before we were all forced to stop going outside. And I wrote on Wyatt Cenac's Problem Areas on HBO and The Big Fib on Disney+. And I'm very happy to be here and discuss things with you guys. What's up?
Cool. I'm Rob Stapleton, based out of New York. I'm ready to get back to work, like I'm sure we all are. I never did the pronoun thing before, but I guess I'll say I'm he. I don't know. And that's it.
Michael Jackson's pronoun.
Yeah, I think that's good. That was funny. Next.
Hi, I am Janelle Banks, and I am in Kansas City. I am a stand-up comedian and also a writer and just a queer woman. My pronouns are she, her, and that's all.
My name is Kendra Dossie. I am a stand-up comedian and writer based out of Boston right now. I've been doing stand-up for about 3 years. And my pronouns are they, them.
And my name is Dell Harrison. I have been doing stand-up for 15 years. I actually am a host of a show on Amazon called Let's Talk Hair, and also on this new show called Versus, and my pronouns are she, her, and thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, y'all, I am thrilled to have you all here, okay? Because I think I was sharing with you all yesterday after watching another comedian come on air and walk us through stuff that was funny, but then it was like, ooh, that's not funny. That's funny, but I shouldn't be laughing. She was talking about police brutality, but she was just masterful in her ability to send a clear message and at the same time provide some humor to it. So you guys have been through a lot, and when it comes down to everything that's transpiring, there are certain professions that I think people aren't realizing how gravely they've been impacted when you need an audience or a crowd in order to perform. So I'd like to start, Rob, with you in New York. You said you're ready to get back to work. Let's talk a little bit about how all of this has just been impacting you as a comic.
Well, like I said, I'm ready to get back to New York, but at the same time, I'm going to be responsible with this. I feel like New York was the epicenter for a while, and then people down south and in the Midwest really didn't pay attention. They thought they were different. And now they're paying the effects of what's going on now, which affects all of us. You know what I mean? Some of the clubs opened up in Florida and then they had to close again. So I do want to get back to work, but I want to be responsible. I've done other shows, like drive-up comedy shows. It's nothing like performing on stage in front of the people and getting that connection. I mean, in the car the money was still good at the end of the night, but the connection and the craft was just totally different. You know what I mean? I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know everybody in this panel, they're artists and they're ready to get back to work. Pandemic checks are cool and all that other stuff, but it's nothing like checking your material in front of somebody who just paid a 2-drink minimum and letting you know if your shit is good or not. You know?
Yes,
Absolutely.
That was beautiful.
I could just imagine. Now, Kendra, I think I heard you mention that you've been doing shows by Zoom. How is that working out? And are you actually able to charge for those? How's that working?
So it depends on the show. I think most people haven't been charging for shows because it's obvious, like doing stand up over Zoom, it's obviously such a different experience. You know, you're not, and you can't really charge overhead for a physical space because people are just logging in on their computers. But a few really cool setups for Zoom shows I've done, especially with the resurgence of Black Lives Matter protests, has been. I've done a lot of shows where, yes, exactly, where people accept donations and then they just send all of their donations to either Black Lives Matter, another local organization that works with people with bail funds, or I did one show with Unicorn Riot, which is like an independent media that's been filming a lot of police brutality at protests in like Minneapolis and Philadelphia. So that's been one like really nice way to kind of use my to keep practicing doing comedy, you know, because I'm not able to go to mics, especially in Massachusetts, which like was really hit hard for a while. So it's a good way to like try out jokes while also helping a cause I care about.
Got it. Yeah. And Reed, you coined it, our token white for today. Tell me, you know, how with just being able to be funny, but try to stay within that line of being insensitive as a white woman at that, right?
Well, I'm a white trans person.
Yeah.
So I try to stay in my lane, you know. I have very few jokes about race, but I have jokes about being white. I really do a lot of gender critique in my work because that's where I'm coming from. Like, I'm into dudes and my sexuality is surprising to people because people see me as a butch woman. It's not really what's going on. So, I don't know. Like, life is funny and confusing. It's been very, very difficult for me because I'm so heavily involved with liberation work that I have a hard time bringing that into my stand-up. So I really look to people like W. Kamau Bell or Hari Kondabolu for those perspectives. But I stay in my lane. I feel like I critique whiteness, but I don't have a lot of race jokes.
Well, we got something to catch up on. I didn't know about the trans part, but I'm gonna come back to that. So we got some updating to do with each other. Janelle, talk to me. How are you staying within the?
I'm staying. I've done some Zoom shows, but I've actually am one of those comics who've been back on stage and crazy. I'm in Kansas City, so a lot of things have been open, but we have a mask mandate now, so it has kind of changed.
Wait, hold up. Now you guys have a mask? It wasn't months ago. Like now? Really?
Same here in Kentucky.
They wanted it to, we've had to wear a mask at certain places, but now it's mandatory that everybody has to wear a mask everywhere.
That's amazing.
We all know the government's kind of
I
can't wait until we get to that part of the conversation.
Right.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Samantha. I'm sorry.
It definitely has changed the dynamic of how shows are. I think it's kind of slowed down the traffic, but I have been back out there since the end of April, and this week I do a bigger club, but they definitely have changed the capacity of the club and cut it in half. But it's just that, you know, it's very weird. It's a very weird space to be.
And how is that?
It's different. I do say you still get that energy from the crowds, even though they're smaller. But anytime somebody coughs, I'm literally like, oh my gosh, do I run off the stage? But as a comic, it has very much been, it just kind of makes me, you know, feel like I definitely love what I do because, I mean, I work from home full time. So, you know, it's a different dynamic, but I appreciate the people who come out to shows more because now they're risking it. Now they're having to pay, you know, like a 2-ticket minimum and a 2-drink minimum to even come see you. So it just makes you appreciate the craft and the crowd a little bit more.
A 2-ticket minimum when the economy has less money, that is a real comedy.
You have to buy your table. You gotta buy your table. Yeah. Let's not even start on these funeral homes, because the stories I've heard about how funeral homes are doing people and charging people.
It's cheaper to bury yourself now.
Listen, some funeral homes are physically making people dig their own graves, people's graves, because they don't have excavators there. Yes. 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 True story.
Yikes.
True story. People are having to dig their families' graves.
Wow. This is going to be drive-through cremations.
Rob, it's like a
Groupon. Dylan, are you finding that your content has changed with all this? Do you find that you're just writing about totally different stuff? I mean, how are you handling your content?
I think as like a Black comedian, your content always has tinges of what's going on in the world, and we see what's going on in the world. So I wouldn't say I've increased the amount that I speak about race or Blackness or what it's like to just be in America, because that's just kind of what it all is anyway. But you got to be, it's nice to find a very careful way to make like a good joke. Like it's so easy to have people take your words and go in any one direction. So I like really crafting something that feels purposeful and also funny when I'm trying to do something in the vein of race and how America is. I remember on stage for a while, I was opening with a joke. This is after there were just these repeated stories of cops going into homes and like shooting and killing Black people who were just like doing nothing and just chilling. And I had a joke where I was starting to be like, oh, I used to think I was an introvert, but now I'm not. I mean, I go outside and I'm an extrovert because cops walk into homes and shoot Black people now. And
oh my gosh.
It was a joke that I kind of just needed to say at the time, because that's like I was feeling that frustration of, oh, this is just a story that has kind of like disappeared. And sometimes the jokes are for you. So
yeah.
Sometimes you make the joke on stage that you need to at the time you're making it.
Yeah.
You know, you bring up a really interesting point. Many comedians of color, especially Black comedians, talk about race all the time. So you're right. That's really nothing new to us. Del, I mean, would you agree? Is that something that you've always
I
had
completely agree. I talk about race, and I talk about my feelings, even yesterday when you was asking about the pronoun, and I was like, that's the bullshit right there. Like, because I am a Christian woman, and I don't believe in you can choose the Lord's choice for you. And I got kicked out of school for saying my, truth or whatever. Now, of course, they had to let me back in once we had this in-depth conversation, because I do believe in your choice to live how you live, but I don't believe in that, this new way of living. And I have every right to express myself, because that's the society for today, is like people adopt a new way of thinking and they be like, oh, the old way of thinking, that's trash. Y'all can't think the old way. And it's my duty as a comedian, as a representative in the Black community, as a Black woman, as a Christian woman, as a godly woman, as a fearless woman, it is my duty to say the things that I'm thinking, because I represent the people who feel like me, look like me, think like me, so no, I don't limit it. I also haven't been limiting myself with COVID either, because this government has sold us in textbooks that we've been 3/5 of a man. They have also taken Black men with syphilis, and it was supposed to be a 6-month experiment, and they let it continue for 40 years. Like, this government will lie and poison you, and they will sell you sickness. The same how they're selling COVID right now with all the like stats and all this thing. They will come on your TV and they will be like, oh, are you up at 11 o'clock? You might have 11 o'clock upness. Take this pill. And
11 o'clock upness.
I'm talking about, they sell you every single thing. I mean, have y'all heard of restless leg syndrome? They had medicine for restless leg syndrome, saying that the medicine side effects may cause you to be up late and prostitution and to solicit prostitution. What kind of guys, I don't fall for it. I'm not one of the people that be falling for the bullshit. I
say if this this didn't change you, but what we're going through doesn't change you as a human being, you're indifferent. It's like there's no way you can come through what we're going through because we're still not at the end of it yet. You know what I mean? They're discovering new things every hour. I can't even say every day. It's every few hours. And as a comic, I just would ask everybody, just speak your truth. Don't try to overwrite, because the material and the shit that we did before this, you can't do anymore. You have to, your truth, wherever each one of you guys live, your truth and what you experience is that. And things are so crazy right now that the coronavirus is put on the back burner because racism is taking the forefront. Like, what else can really push what we're going through, where people are dying in these numbers of what's going on in Florida and Texas every day, in California, can push that illness to the back? And that's what's, and you take at the end of the month, right? I hope everybody here applied for that pandemic insurances, and with this other unemployment is getting that other check that comes in. They're trying to cut that off in another 2 weeks. So the government is playing games with people's lives. You know what I mean?
Business as usual, though.
Exactly. And, you know, Dell touched on it. The other young lady touched on it. They're really playing games with our lives. And as artists, we need to speak our truth.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's okay. I do want to say this, right? And I want to comment on what you shared, Dell, because I think, and this is really a conversation actually that I had last week with being gay and Black. The reality is that freedom of speech is freedom of speech. We should all be able to voice our views and our perceptions. What is not okay is treating a person less than because of the color of their skin or what their sexual orientation is. But to your point, Rob, telling the truth just needs to be the truth across the board, right? If we start just telling the truth, if white people just started telling the truth about what they know about what to be true about racism, that would be half the battle. But I absolutely agree that when it comes down to standing on that stage, and there are some comedians, again, that have just done a masterful job with being able to use humor to shed light on human rights issues, you know, across the country. Anyways, Janelle, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that's the beautiful tool and power of being a comic, especially during a pandemic or this situation where we have a pandemic on one hand, and then it feels like we're reliving like the civil rights movement. On the other hand, the power of comedy combines those worlds and those causes. I feel like doing comedy and providing stand-up, whether it be on Zoom or on stage at this point, is giving people a release and an outlet from that and an escape. I mean, I hate to make this comparison, but in times like this, I feel like we almost have that same power as what a pastor has to people or a preacher. We provide a sense of comfort. We provide, you know, a piece of security and a peace of mind or an escape or something else to think about, or, you know, and so I think that's what it is as a comedian. You can go on stage and speak your truth, but at the same time, you also have to recognize your audience, especially like now, like I said, people are paying, if they're paying to see you in their home or paying, you know, to see you on stage, sometimes you still have to make sure it's not just about shock value, but it's also about that comedic presence, which is your purpose there. And that purpose sometimes is to provide that escape away from some of the harsh realities that we are facing right now. So I think that's our responsibility. You know, we have been given this gift and this tool. That's our responsibility. We're almost like I said, pastors, politicians. We have to kind of speak some type of momentum and truth into people, but at the same time, we have to deliver it the way it was intended to be, in a comedic purpose.
I would agree. Actually, one of our viewers right now on Facebook, and by the way, shout out to those that are watching us on Facebook. For those that are not and are backstage, if you're on Facebook, we're on stage with everybody and hang out with them. We got a whole different dialogue with people going on. But Carolyn tuning in brought up Dave Chappelle. And someone, I hear your background noise. You might want to go on mute. We have Dave Chappelle came on and just did an amazing job, again, with being funny, but talking about the current issues that are going on. I am curious, for those of you that had a chance to view that, just what were your thoughts on the way that he delivered?
I mean,
think Chappelle was being Chappelle.
yeah,
You got what you get out of Chappelle.
absolutely.
It wasn't, I'm trying to be funny every 15 seconds, like a comic is taught to get a laugh every 15 seconds, 4 laughs a minute. It was totally opposite. He was describing the climate of what it is and giving us a recap brilliantly. But that's Chappelle, you know?
Yeah, that's what
And
I
I
was
admire so much.
saying.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, go ahead, please.
No, I was just gonna piggyback off Rob and say that's exactly what it felt like. Just classic Chappelle. Like if you watched his comedy, he's always delivered a message. It's been a message and a punch and a message and a message and a punch. So, I mean, I think, you know, what I loved is what he said is not celebrities. It's not my responsibility to be the people that talk. People are talking in the streets. People are marching. But, you know, at the same time, listen to these gems. Listen to this message. It's not always, it's using your message, using your gift to convey a message.
If I could jump in one more time, like it's like when 9/11 happened, Chappelle brilliantly said, stop turning the MTV into the celebrities when something like this happens. Like when something like 9/11 happened, which nobody expected, nobody wants to hear what Ja Rule has to say in that moment. You know what I mean? But it's crazy that in this time and environment that we're in now, more people want to hear what Chappelle has to say because the leadership in the White House can't be trusted and he can't bring us all together, which is a shame. When he's at the epitome of leadership, yet you're getting more from the artist than you're getting from the people that are elected to be the officials, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
that's
humor is a great
I really am
contextualizer.
curious, and I know I'm opening up Pandora's box, but the beauty about comedy is you do get to go into certain areas that not everybody can. But I am curious about your point about the White House not bridging the divide or bringing people together. From a comedian's perspective, how do you guys look at that, and do you ever incorporate that into your material?
Yeah.
Out these jokes be writing themselves, honey.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Hey, write themselves.
Yeah, I think so. One thing I live in Boston, which is not known for being not racist, and I've performed all over New England, and like New England in general is pretty white. Honestly, I think there has been such a long history of people consuming the artwork of Black people without respecting them necessarily. So, I mean, that is not to say so far I have not been stabbed after a show where I like talk about white people and all the silly things they do here. But how
long have you been doing stand-up?
About like 3 years.
Oh, that's why. Oh, that's why.
Okay. I mean, I also know
that's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks of stand-up time. You know that,
when they're 5 years in, they're going to get stabbed.
What'd you say?
You saying when they're 5 years in, they're going to get stabbed? They haven't reached the 5-year mark?
I mean,
3 years.
Yeah,
3 years.
I know people who do tour and they're like, yeah, I have a gun in my car in case, and I understand. But yeah. Well, like black comedians specifically. The white people are like, oh yeah, I snuck into Guantanamo Bay and did a set, and then I came back to the U.S. You know, like they're fine. Like they're all set. But yeah, it is like hard to avoid. I think there was a lot of people right after Trump was elected who were like, this is going to be so good for comedy, and that's not like necessarily true. Like I think, I mean, it's something to respond to, but. Yeah, it's not good for comedy. Now, like, now you have a lot of people who are like trying comedy and then like trying comedy and trying to
That's
like
saying cancer is good for your weight. You know what I'm saying? It's like
yes,
it's like
yeah. But I guess it's something to talk about, but it doesn't. I don't know if it always bridges people together. I mean, yeah, there's so many problems in this country. Like I can't solve it by making some jokes about white supremacy. I still will, but you know,
it's true.
But that's embedded in us. We petty with a purpose. Like, you know, we just don't make jokes about it, period. That's what we do.
Yeah.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yes.
Yeah, and Trump it actually is a stand-up comic. Like when you look at the things he says,
Yes.
I'm talking about this man is so, first of all, so jealous of Obama. You know what I'm saying? Like he is so jealous of the love that this man has gotten, jealous of his blackness. And that's the whole, like he hates this man, but I'm talking about if he could just win the love of the entire American population in the whole world, if he would be like, I'm denouncing the presidency and I'm just gonna do stand-up, because he is a very funny guy. He is an asshole. He does shock value comedy, and that, you know, his camp probably writes specifically for his, you know, the audience. Trump, like I even was talking to a
Fox
software
News.
tester one time. I mean, Fox News, but like not just Fox News. There is a lot of people. Like my uncle is, you know, Trump speaks to the underdog, the person that's always felt stupid and is now in power. And people really take to that because, you know, even my uncle, my black uncle loves Trump. My black cousin
Del,
loves
did you know
Trump.
that? Did you know that Tucker Carlson's head writer wrote a lot of stuff for Trump as well? He just got fired for some racist stuff that they found on this podcast. So that's just, it's all connected, you know, the mouthpiece, you know.
Yeah,
So you're definitely
like,
right, 120% correct.
And but
So,
the
but it's, and I think it's interesting, right? She's sharing with us her black family members that love Trump. And then you'll go on Twitter or you'll go on Facebook or Instagram and you'll see people that are making jokes about black people that love Trump.
Guys, I think that's the funniest thing in the world. To me, I don't know what they're paying. Okay, I did a comedy show before when Comic View was coming back. Adele, you may remember this, and anybody else may remember this. They hired Kevin Hart when he was blowing up to be the new host of Comic View, right? Yes. Thinking that it was Comic View was going to make this big comeback. And I just feel that okay, I actually lost my point of view. What I was going to say. I'm sorry.
You were saying Trump. We went from Trump and my black family supporting Trump, and then you said you were hired on to the new coming to the stage. It was coming back. They were hiring.
Yeah, somebody. I'll remember that thought. It's hilarious. Another thought jumped in my head. I'm sorry. Somebody else jump in and I'll come back with that. It's hilarious. Sorry.
Well, Rob, not Rob. Sorry, Dylan. I do want to hear from you because you mentioned a few networks that you've done this, you know, do writing for or stand up for. Are they asking you to present different sort of content right now? Like, what's the climate?
Oh, well, no, I've been unemployed for like 2+ years now.
Oh, okay.
But I have been noticing. Okay. No, I wrote for a show that was on HBO for 2 seasons, and the first season was all about policing in America because the conceit with Problem Areas is that we would tackle one subject for the whole show, and nobody really watched, and it got canceled. But just recently, there was a big push to have it put on YouTube for free, so people could see the content, and it was interesting to see how relevant all the material still was 2 years later, because nothing has changed. This? It was Wyatt's Next Problem Areas on HBO. And
okay.
And so it was bittersweet at first. It was like, oh, why ain't y'all watched the first time before it got canceled? But then it hit me. It was like, oh, well, all this is still, like, none of this has changed. All these stories still matter. The stories of black people in cities around the country being gunned down, and you know, the budgets not being the way they should. Like, all this stuff still matters. So it's something that lasts, sadly, because this problem continues. But I have also seen a push right now. Shows that do not have black writers are definitely trying to be like, we need one, because like all me and my friends like barely ever get shots. Said like we're all doing the same show packets right now, and it's like, oh, somebody put a call out. So take those opportunities while they're there, because I don't know how long it'll last.
Hell yeah.
So are you saying that there's been a spike in a request for black writers right now or comics right now because of everything that's going on?
Well, black is just hot anyway. You know what I mean? I mean, it always goes in waves like this. Like, I don't know if anybody's into sports. Like, they would say that black people are athletes, but they can't coach the sport. Then you get black coaches that come in and they win championships. Then in football, they say that black people are great football players, but they can't be quarterback. And then you have Patrick Mahomes signs the biggest contract ever. And then you have Russell Wilson become the highest and then win Super Bowl. And so what is it? You know, give us a chance and we show that we can knock down a wall and we can achieve. It's been like that since the Negro Leagues. You know what I mean? They had the white guys playing in their league, and then they gave Jackie Robinson a chance, and then they're like, oh, they're Willie Mays. Oh, wow, this guy's good. Like, it just goes, just the names just change. And Saturday Night Live. We all love Saturday Night Live. When Tracy was leaving the show, you know, it's like all of a sudden they noticed because of the outrage from the public was, oh, we need more black. Yes, you need it. When you can count how many black people been on the show with just one or two hands, yes, you need more black. Then they went black, you know, Leslie, blah, 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 blah. It's like, we don't want to overkill. We just want a fair share. You know what I mean? We just want a fair share, you know?
Yeah. And I think people saying like, oh, well, you know, funny is funny. So if you're funny, you should make it that saying stuff like that really obscures like how dependent comedy is on connections and like really networking. And if there's like a dude in a club who's like racist, homophobic, et cetera, he's like a white guy and he's like really, you know, he's a Trump voter and he books a club. If you are a gay black person, you are going to be more uncomfortable talking to him, and you are going like even if he thinks you're like funny or hilarious, like that like little step in networking is going to be harder for you, which is going to like no matter how funny you are, you could be the reincarnation of Dave Chappelle or something, and that's still going to like cut down on your chances. So like
so like you as niche, like people think of me as niche. I'm white, but I'm still trans, and you know, I could kill on a set, and then the judge on a comedy competition would be like, that wasn't preachy at all. And it's like, yeah, because I'm a comedian, you asshole. Like, you know, they don't see viewpoints that don't exactly mesh with their kind of dehumanizing bullshit as legitimate comedy because it's not funny or something. Who's judgmental now, you know?
Has any of the comics on the panel done comedy like straight to TV? Like I mean, straight on the internet? Like, you're doing a set and then people are like, ha ha ha, laugh out loud, smiley face, send.
Like live streamed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you say you've done a couple? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Del? Have you done those? I mean, I did like Ali Sadiq's.
I have actually, because of the Zoom shows, you know, I don't know about y'all, but doing comedy on Zoom is just sad to me, you know, and I have just switched careers because I'm also a singer. So when I get a Zoom show, I'd be like, DJ, drop that beat because, you know, let me bust out this other skill the Lord gave me so I can just sing you a tune because I'm not about to be like, so anyway, you know, I need, like, I'm my real self. I'm not an act. So it's hard to transfer who I am on stage. I need to, like, when I come into the club, I don't even have any jokes in mind because I'm trying to just see what's going on. And then I'll get everything that I've constructed to way together. So I can't just, I mean, I have done a Zoom, you know, I have been invited to Zoom, but again, I'd be like, DJ, drop that beat. I'm about to bust these lyrics out and we, you know,
it's nothing sadder than watching your numbers drop after each joke.
Yeah. Like people just leave the Zoom chat after certain.
Yes.
I've been on shows where like the first person, they like half the audience leaves. They're like, wasn't feeling it.
The only thing worse than watching your numbers drop is being at a live club and watching a promoter while you on stage not doing good do this to your check. That's the only thing that's worse. It's the only shit that's worse.
Oh God.
It definitely is a different dynamic for sure. I mean, because you know, we live off that energy, you know.
Yeah.
And I think especially the more I know a lot of us either, you know, started out doing open mics and then it was like, 15 to 20 people, 30 people. And then when you start doing 300,000-400,000, you know, people, it's weird, like waiting either for some, you know, there's always that pause when you're doing it virtually, like, are people laughing or let me give them time because I know this was a banger, you know.
I guess my question though is, I mean, with Zoom, like we're not on Zoom, but we can all see each other. right? So as a comic, you can still see people that are laughing. So what's the negative?
People turn off their cameras. People turn off their cameras. They're like on the couch in their underwear, like they don't want to be seen.
But
you know what, Tawana?
That's a power move, honestly.
Tawana, I'll give you
the same. We need to feel. We need to feel the connection. We need to be in the same room.
It's sort of like if you're a DJ and you DJ without headphones. You can still DJ without headphones, but the beat and the mix isn't going to be the same. You're still DJing, but you're not hearing it right, and you're not connecting with the people that are dancing. When you do stand up, you're really, like Del said, we're making adjustments. You're taking a couple of beats out of this joke. Bob, this joke might be too animated, or this joke is fully animated, but doing it this way, it's not going to really work. So you're constantly making these adjustments. And when you don't get that feedback, it's the same way why a lot of comedians are bad auditioners when comedians first start auditioning for acting roles, because we're so used to saying something and get it coming right back. When you go to audition for movie roles, you have to do exact opposite. They want the little nuances in between the beats.
Well,
and you have to train yourself to do that all over again.
Why can't you just why can't you just make a rule that in order to attend, your camera and mic must remain on, and have somebody kicking people out if their camera goes off?
I don't want to see ugly people. Like, it's
oh my God.
You have one person on the Zoom show. When you start setting rules, people are less likely to support. So you want to make it as comfortable as possible. Like I've seen some that make it, a theme, like bring a drink or wear a certain color. And sometimes people really just want to be on camera and be cute. But I'll give you an example. There was a live stream of a funeral on Zoom. And people were there was one lady who was rolling a blunt, camera wasn't muted. She smoked the blunt, and this was a funeral that was like multiple people, like a whole family had got killed. And there
were coping different ways.
Potato salad.
Yeah, and so like it literally sometimes those different things like mics and feedback, and some people are literally on the phone, they're not engaged, but they just want to be in there to support, and I know for myself sometimes I'll be doing something in the background or smoking a blunt.
I ain't never been that bored during this quarantine while I log into somebody's funeral. Things ain't never got that bad during this quarantine.
Also, what I want to say to the people out there, don't share me your uncle's funeral link. God damn it! I don't want to see that shit.
Yo, you seen one too? Yo, you seen it too?
Somebody shared a link to to a person's funeral. I don't even be going to people's funeral I know, so I damn sure don't want to see your uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like what, guys? Did y'all forget that this is like a human being, and y'all should be celebrate the life, even if y'all it's only 2 or 3 of y'all. Like I don't want to see.
Can you imagine y'all doing this right now, and my body is just like this?
Well, like
and you act like you don't see this.
They have to live stream them. Like in that instance, it was one of those things where people can't attend funerals now, so you have to, like, for those mass funerals, you have to live stream it, and so that's what you get. And people like, you have to be responsible if you know you're gonna be doing it, especially at a funeral. Like, turn your camera off. But some people don't know how to use these
etiquette. So what you're telling me, we need a whole etiquette class on attending virtual events. But coming back to funerals, maybe
we sketch ideas,
humor in funerals, because I want to come back to y'all. Funeral homes are making people dig their own graves.
I heard a story that just blew my mind. Like literally, some of these, like, they're making people dig their own graves. They're double charging for cremation. Because like right now, a lot of people are at the point where they can't have a funeral right then and there. So either you have to pay to keep your family's body, or you have to cremate them. That's
next you're gonna have to drop the body off yourself.
No, but you're
gonna have to embalm it yourself. Yourself at home.
Listen, it's crazy. Like they're transferring people's bodies to, like, in somebody's will or testament, they want their body to go. Their body may not get to go there because that place is full. So you have to go find your relative.
They're about to start mobile cremation services. Like they come up. to your house. They're like, bring out
putting
your
the body
dead.
in
And
an
then,
Uber and sending the body to the funeral home. Like drop them in an Uber and then send the body to the funeral home. That is crazy.
I'm not playing with
I'm
you.
doing that in my
Uber.
set. This is
You're gonna have to-
this is crazy.
You're gonna have to
sign up for Uber
hearse.
Hearse.
Uber hearse.
Uber
That's
hearse.
disgusting. No, we don't need to have funeral etiquette. We need to have Facebook etiquette. Facebook has become the saddest social media platform. Every time I turn on the Facebook, it's like, shout out to my grandmother who was my rock and my salvation. I'm sick of
It sounds more like your friends just suck. That's really
maybe,
that's what the problem
but
is.
I got 5,000 people that suck then because I just get sick of seeing. Like, I don't want to see shout out to nobody else dead on the platform. Like, where's the joy at? Like, that's why I be on Instagram. Like, because I need to see. I almost
Instagram is booties, wigs, and
I would prefer it rather than memorials.
It's like people going to the beach infecting others with COVID-19 and just like looking really good doing it. That's what Instagram is.
Guys, but let's get it.
I feel like Facebook would be less sad if there was a cohesive government response to a pandemic. But we could grasp things at the root. I wouldn't see so many people being like, my grandma died if there were more mask mandates. But I'm a
long
comedian.
before the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Long before the pandemic.
Oh, my Facebook got sadder once the pandemic was started and everyone was alone with their thoughts. I think then people were like, I'm sad all the time.
This is why the world needs to be plus size, because instead of being alone with my thoughts, I got alone with my recipes. You know, I don't have
Instagram.
I cook.
Instagram is for being the first one to find out that somebody died. And you want to be the first one to tell everybody else in the world that person died.
Oh my God.
Right? It's like a competition with that. When something happens, people want to be the first one on Instagram, be like, Bobby died or whoever the famous person is. Like I said it first at 8:53 in the morning, blah, blah, died. Yo, TMZ got it from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That culture is nuts to me. Like now, like remember when people passed at funerals and you would go to funerals and people would try to outcry each other. Now it's kind of like I'm the outpost, my post is better than yours. Like, like y'all be trying to that's not gonna be in the obituary. Chill out. Mm-hmm. Like it did not.
The only social media I refuse to use is TikTok. I think if I can get through this pandemic without becoming a TikTok comedian, I'll be okay.
I just want to say
that's my only benchmark for survival is just don't become a TikTok comedian doing bad dance.
Wait, what's wrong with TikTok?
See, this is the thing. I thought TikTok was corny too. And I've probably been doing stand-up longer than anybody else on the panel. But the thing is, once you start doing half-hour and hour specials, it's brilliant to get TikTok into your life, because when you have jokes that stand out, people come on and do bits of your material on there, and then you get royalties from it. So I know comics that get thousands of dollars, like Mark Vieira and other people get thousands every month or quarterly from taking a bit that you have that's popular, and kids that may have never heard of you before do that bit over. What,
they
either dancing or they doing your bit.
I am not scoffing at the offering pass.
I don't understand it.
I just don't want to. I don't want to ever be doing the dance.
I feel you. I totally feel you. For me to download it on my phone took every muscle for me.
No, hey, if you get money off of it, get all the money you can.
I agree with you, brother. I agree. I totally agree. Totally agree.
Look, I don't have the time for this, but I need somebody to start a social media channel of white people fucking up chants at protests. Please, we need it. I mean, they really we're fucking it up. I mean,
be the thing you want to see in the world.
Okay, you reminded me of what I was going to say earlier. That's what I was going to say. I knew somebody was going to say something to bring it back together. Who the hell are these black people that behind Trump at all of his rallies? Because I was going to say, when Kevin Hart hosted Comic View when it came back, they actually paid the crowd. In LA, they paid for the audience, or paid extras, So when you go to a Trump rally and you see those black people in the back, that is strategically placed there
Oh,
so that
yeah.
when you're home and you're watching, you go, oh,
think
wow,
those folks
people
are
that
getting
look
paid.
like me believe in him. But I'm like, who are those people? Who are those
They're
people?
probably
Glad
security guards from the
But
venue.
I want you to finish with what you were saying about the protest, because that's a segue to that. That's crazy.
I'm so glad now people are not gullible and we like, who the hell is nope.
Those are the real.
I think a lot of white people were protesting for Black Lives Matter because they actually wanted to get their cardio in at the same time.
Oh my
So
God.
it was a little bit of both.
I think you're totally right.
They wanted to get out there. They wanted to get their cardio in. They were like,
And get those selfies. They all
does
want.
make sense.
We all
Oh
want
my
the
God,
selfies.
the photo ops. Listen, how you protesting and ducking tear gas, but you got the time to have a whole the couple
I
that
saw a
got
black
married.
woman go the fuck off on a white person who's doing
God
this
bless
selfie. She,
George Floyd,
got out
but
of the
you
car
think
and was
black
just
people
like,
would have marched in January or February or November?
Actually, that would have been a prime time for my fluffy ass.
You think big numbers would have been marching in December?
That would have been better for me. I'm more of an Elsa myself.
No, I'm not gonna go there. No, you beautiful. I'm not gonna go there.
Real talk though, don't take pictures of yourself or anyone else at protests because cops look through that and then they charge people.
And that's
yeah. Don't do it.
Oh my gosh.
What? Say that again?
No,
people at risk.
cops will like look through photos posted of people at
and they'll
protests.
follow people.
And they'll
follow people.
That's a no.
They'll pick out faces and then
they
like
tell you all the time not to post, things on social media.
It's a really basic
that's
thing.
the number one rule. But then people are out here in bodycon dresses and flip flops, and out here face unmasked, hair done, edges laid at a protest with lashes on. You mean to tell me you there for justice and equalities? No, you are there for a photo op, sweetie.
I'm not defending it, but also this might be the one time they go outside in months. So
that's as long as you don't take a picture of yourself. That's the main thing.
See, that's what we need to take down. That's what we need to take down the officers at. Now we protested because y'all doing the shit, and now y'all coming over here because I'm exercising my right. What the that's what we need to defund the police at, because they some fucking bullies, yo. That shit gets on my nerves that we have a KKK organization set up to kill black people. The only reason why we even have to protest is because y'all doing the fucking killing. And now because we out here exercising our rights, now y'all coming on the social. First of all, y'all shouldn't even have no time to go on social media. Where's your crime solving skills at? You know what I'm saying? That gets on my, oh my God. I've been praying on the Lord's vengeance on that organization, because that organization is a hateful organization. And I'm talking about, I mean, I've been calling over Breonna Taylor. I've been calling over every organization, because you can loot online too. For all the people who's listening out there, you don't gotta be, you don't gotta protest. You don't gotta be the one that go out there. You can loot online too, because looting, to make change, we don't just need the protest. We need those protesters out there making it feel urgent. We need the people writing letters online, which is me, the people calling information, and we need, you know what I'm saying? We need posting and sharing and panels. All of that shit counts.
Everybody needs to go to justiceforbrianna.org and sign that petition if you haven't already. That's her family's website and petition.
Let me tell you like this. White America was so quick. You're right. They were so quick to fire Nick Cannon for speaking his truth for what he had to say. But those officers are still walking the damn street.
Yeah, and the president can say what he want to say. But y'all not mad about that? Oh, Justice for Brianna just gave me a virus, like popped up like a virus screen. Let me just make sure I spelled it right.
JusticeForBrianna.org.
And the right. I want to come back, Kendra, because that is new to me. So you all have examples of someone posting from attending a protest that then later caused police to follow them on social media. Did that following escalate in real life?
So what I've mostly heard is that if someone is like knocks over a trash can during a protest or something like very benign, and that's recorded, Twitter is public. If you record anything, it's public. And put it on social media, it's public. They could like look through all of those protests and stuff and find the face of someone, especially if their face or clothing isn't blurred out, and then charge them for like a really dressed up charge. So like something like if you like tip over a trash can, they could charge you for like inciting a riot, like, you know, like a felony or whatever. And yeah, so that's why it's like dangerous to do that. It's another way for, you know, people, especially Black and brown people. And I think we like one thing that happened in Ferguson was that a lot of people who were part of the protests, which I think was 6 years ago by this point, or 5 or 6 years ago at this point, later were killed in mysterious circumstances. I don't know what the truth is, but it's always it's better to be safe than sorry, which is why, you know, if I do take a picture at a protest, I make sure like no one's face is in it, or like, you know, I took a picture of a dog at a protest. People were like brought their dog. It's like no one's gonna come for the dog, hopefully. Who knows?
They took that lady's dog away. No.
But yeah, it's just better to be safe than sorry. I know I guess this is not directly dealing with comedy, but if you are a comedian and just you want to protest, just cover your face so they can't recognize you through your YouTube videos later, you know.
I mean, they do that to us. If we want, you know, I hate when I'm a part of a show, and this is something, Tawana, for you to know, like stand-up comics, when you're performing, like Dell has a room, somebody has a room, they're hosting, they ask you to come through and you do some minutes. The worst thing to do is somebody in the crowd pull out their camera and just start recording your set.
Yeah, that's also,
you know, there has to be rules and regulations set from the host and from the promoter that that's not allowed. Because the worst thing is for a comic to have to interrupt his set. He or she interrupt his set, address the person in the crowd. Now you look like you're condoning them in front of everybody. Now you look like you're condescending. Now it looks like you're saying your material is way above everybody else's and it can't be duplicated.
Yes.
But it's just something that's your property, that's your material.
Intellectual property.
Exactly. You don't want it broadcasting live on IG while you're working, because what happens sometimes, new comics run with that material, or somebody might see 6 minutes of that, and the conditions in that club may be horrible, and they may make a judgment about you and go, he's not funny, she's not funny.
Yeah.
Right.
It might be only 6 people in that room, and 3 of them are doing cocaine, and 2 of them are smoking weed. You don't know what the situation is, but they're going to judge you off of what they see on that little bit of material, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, you know, definitely I'm with you on that. And I just can't even stand, well, not, I can't even say can't stand, but I really prefer to just work with promoters who have control of the environment that I'm, you know, working in, you know, you know, because it is your intellectual property. You do have to go to these clubs to work out your material before it's ready for filming, before it's ready for, you know, shows and taping. So you know, and then a promoter will find you, will look for you, and they think will come up first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, or you'll finish your whole set, then they'll come up to you with paperwork asking you to sign a release, and you're like, what? Like, yeah, we filmed the whole thing, man. We're gonna put this on. No, you're not gonna put this on DVD. No, you're not. Like, we didn't talk about this. No.
Oh, okay. So they film it and then they ask for permission after they filmed it.
Afterwards. Yeah, they just think that it's an honor for us to use your material.
No.
And you're going to just sign off. You go, no, you can't do that.
Sometimes they'll try to get it to where you can't use it because they feel like it's property of the club.
Just like a club like Caroline's, right? Caroline's has one of the most famous backdrops that you would know. It's like a diamond backdrop that people know it all around the country. And you can't even, as a fan in the crowd looking at your cousin, pull your phone out and just start recording. You can't do any recording at all with Caroline's logo in the background. That's their brand. Good. They don't want it out like that. They want you to come in and see it live. If they're going, anything's going to be live, it's through their system.
Yeah.
You know?
And shout out to them for doing that, because we need, like, phones have just ruined people these days.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I hate when people sit at the show like this.
Yeah. Well, you know what they do that most at the internet's, what are all of those internet sensations? These people, you think they want to see that person, DC Young Fly or somebody that they love, Jessica Hilarious, and they're sitting there for their whole show, taping them and doing this. And you're like, put the phone down and enjoy the live set.
Don't you miss bitching about the audience in the venues?
Yeah. That's why enjoy doing comedy clubs, like real, club venues,
Yes.
because they make the announcement, and then if you
Yeah.
don't follow, somebody's gonna come through that crowd and
Yeah.
confront you. And I love that, because it's also not about ruining the show, but like Rob said, that's my property, that's my my jokes, that's my material and my content. Let me post it first of all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or something, and some people feel like, oh, if I post it and tag them in it, they're just gonna love this. And it's like,
Yeah.
let's be my family member, a relative, not, necessarily. Sometimes you have to be very respectful of my content. Like if you walk by a movie set and they were filming, you're not about to sit up there and pull your phone out and be like, yo, look at them on SVU today. Well, that's
Yeah.
who did it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I
Well,
think it's brilliant what Chappelle did. When you go to his concert, they got to take your phone, put it in a little plastic thing, and zip. You get your phone after your set.
And the
You know what I mean?
Improv does that now. And
Nice.
I'm hoping that all the clubs start doing that, because like that's where you get back to the unity and saying being able to do your set and it be like so great. People because like even without recording, people are just easily distracted by the phone. So it's like, why are you even in here? Like this person is putting on the show. They require your attention. You definitely wouldn't be on your phone at a Broadway play. You wouldn't go see the Hamilton and then be all over your phone right there. You would pay attention. So pay attention to this right here, because this is also a one-woman show. Even if it's for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, however long I'm up here, it still requires your attention. But, we have these, we have all of the people that are, people are recording also too, in defense of them because of their excitement. You make them laugh and they be like, oh, I got to show this to somebody right here. But they don't understand that that is actually ruining now, your enjoyment,
life experience.
and the momentum. Yes. So,
Well said.
My goodness. Well, everybody, we literally have 1 minute left. I just looked up and was like, oh my gosh, it is 2:59. I didn't even have the 2:55. Give your last comment. But I would like, just really quickly, because I would like to make sure that we all get over to networking. You all are all artists. And, I had the realization of comedians, DJs, just anybody that's a gig worker or independent, doing independent work for themselves, film, acting. You all have taken a beating with everything that's transpired. First with COVID, then civil unrest. I know with me having a restaurant in downtown Louisville, we immediately after it was time to reopen, we were boarding back up. But if you can just give a few last minute words, keep it under 30 seconds. I want to try to close as close to on time as possible because it's literally 2:59. But if you just give a few last minute words, humor and human rights, speaking to others that are also in the same boat.
Okay.
Everybody gonna go first?
We just wasted 20 seconds. Go ahead, guys.
I would say just keep going. No one knows what the future of entertainment's going to look like, so you might as well, try some stuff and keep moving. So, yeah.
I like to say I prepped well. I worked my ass off on an independent route. And while we're looking for content, while everyone's on Netflix and everything else, I have a really hot movie that I'm releasing on video on demand July 20th called The Stuff. It's an action, suspense, dark comedy. And I worked really hard. Thank you guys. I worked my ass off for this, and I think the public is really going to enjoy it. So timing is everything, and I think it's the right time for me to release it.
And I'm with you, Rob. I definitely, not even prepped well, but like I never stopped working during the COVID.
Yeah, sketches and all that stuff.
My band sketches. But also too, a lot of acting work went virtual. So I was able to book a commercial during that time, book a lot of, things that you can audition virtually during that time and definitely put it up. But also too, shameless plug, I got an album out called Oh Yeah Girl on all music stores, and I released that during this time. So please go and get it, y'all. It's called Oh Yeah Girl by Dale Harrison.
Yes. I personally have, like I said, I am a pandemic nut. I have been on stage. So thankfully I didn't have a lot of downtime. And the downtime that I did have, I needed it, honey. So I just say, as a creative, don't force yourself. Just do what is best and comfortable for you. But keep pushing. Know that there's opportunities out there, and what is for you is for you. And if you are true to this game and you truly want to touch people's lives in a comedic form, be a writer, whatever, it will happen for you. It will come, especially in this downtime. It will come. This show has not stopped, baby. We are live and we are in full effect. So just keep pushing, keep doing you.
Yeah, I think in this time, my big lesson to myself is sometimes it's okay to sit your ass down and, recollect and chill for a little bit. But yeah, as it's been mentioned a little bit before, there's a lot of ways to be creative, to make a difference, to try and make the world better than it is, whether it is through your humor or your activism. So, I don't know, just keep supporting Black people, keep supporting all marginalized people, and, thanks for having us.
Someone should hire all of us.
Yeah.
For
Amen.
gigs.
I want to say go to justiceforbrianna.org.
The humor and human rights tour.
Sign the petition at justiceforbrianna.org. If you haven't done it already, anybody watching needs to do that. And you can also support the Louisville Community Bail Fund here in Louisville, which helps families that have been impacted by the prison industrial complex and state violence, and bails people out and then supports the family afterwards with food and everything, rent payments and things like that. So definitely check out the Louisville Community Bail Fund.
Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you for all that tuned in with us, especially those that are backstage. We do have networking that is open to everybody today. And I do want to leave you all with how to network in a couple of words. So one, once you click the button on the left side of the screen where it says Networking Now Live, you'll head over into that area where you can have one-to-one introductions with someone. If both of you decide that you'd like to continue to stay connected, both hit the blue connect button at the top of your screen. When you hit that blue connect button, if both of you do, their contact information will show up in your dashboard within Conflict. So here today, we brought you 6 comedians, all whom you can hire for your next project. What I think we've all learned today, while we're focusing on some of what people are calling essential workers, there are a lot of essential people out there that have been impacted by this pandemic and civil unrest in a major, major way. And the economy does not just look upon one type of group or one type of industry. There's all of us that make it go round. So be sure to check out their bios at derbydiversity.com under the speakers page. For those that were there, feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to stay connected with any of them. We look forward to seeing you back here next week, same time, same place, as we catch up with white women who we spoke to about equipping them to stand up against racism. Let's see if they think it. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you so much, Tawana,
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Bye. Thank you.